If God made us in his image, that means we're perfect just the way we are, right? So why should we change our appearances and the way we look to try to look more beautiful? Isn't that changing what he created? Well, let me give you a biblical perspective on health and beauty that you've never heard before. Hi, my name is Cindy, and 3 years ago, God helped me to lose 60 pounds in 3 months. And this led me to change my whole worldview on self image, health, and beauty standards. So, today I want to share with you a biblical perspective on health and beauty and why does God care about our appearance. By the end of this video, you will see why the way you look matters so much and hopefully feel more aligned with the beauty that God already gave you. So, let's start from the beginning. God did create you. And he says in his word that you are beautifully and wonderfully made. Your features, your coloring, your hair texture, it all has a purpose. But what we also need to remember is that we live in a fallen world. And after sin entered creation, the truth is that nothing works perfectly the way that God designed it to be. Our skin ages. Our hair gets dry, oily, frizzy. Our bodies lose symmetry and collagen. And hormonal changes can leave us with bad skin or brittle, thin hair. So, yes, we were created in the image of God. But that image, unfortunately, has been corrupted by sin. And it is very common nowadays to hear a lot of talk about how you should accept yourself the way you are, and you're just perfect the way you are. And I'm not saying that those things are inherently wrong. I know that they're coming from a place of trying to make people feel better and accepting the things that they can't really change about themselves. But we live in a world that is affected by sin. And this means that there's death, decay, and ugliness everywhere around us. And the truth is that if we don't try to take care of those things, we might end up living in a world that is very ugly. And I mean, unfortunately, I don't think that we are that far from that. And here's the thing. Beauty is not subjective. And it's very common to hear people saying that beauty is in the eye of the beholder and that beauty can be subjective because you may find something beautiful that someone else doesn't necessarily find beautiful and vice versa. But the truth is that beauty is very objective because ultimately beauty has an owner. The owner of beauty is God. God created beauty and he created beautiful things. And since we're created in his image, the logical thing would be for us to also appreciate that beauty and try to recreate it in our own ways. But like I said, what has been happening recently is the opposite of that. And I believe that this is actually expected because the truth is that since the beginning, after man fell into sin, man is trying to rebel against God. And we see that very clearly nowadays, even in people's appearances. I mean, we don't need to go too much back in history in order to realize that people took their appearances a lot more seriously back then. Everyone that was considered to be respectable would try to always be groomed and presentable. But nowadays, it seems like it's almost the opposite. It is cool to look ugly or like you don't care about your appearance at all. And I want to be very clear that when I say ugly, I'm really not talking about specific characteristics and features of a person, but I'm really talking about an unkept appearance and just not really putting effort in the way you're presenting yourself in general. And I know that, especially for Christians, this topic of beauty and self image can be linked to vanity. And I think it's also important to share a light on that, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the video. For now, I really want you to listen to this because this might change everything that you think about beauty and cosmetics in general. The word cosmetics comes from the Greek word kosmia, which actually means to bring into order, or to arrange beautifully, or even to restore harmony. And it has the same roots of the word cosmos, which means the perfect universe arranged by God in order. So, cosmetics are not about faking beauty or vanity itself, but they are literally about bringing order back to what the fall disordered. Before the fall, there was no aging, no dryness, no sagging. But after the fall, our bodies started to decay because the wages of sin is death. And even science can prove this because the second law of thermodynamics is that everything tends to disorder if uncared for. And from the beginning, God invited us to participate in His creation. He created the animals, but He asked Adam to name them. He created the garden, but then told Adam to take care of it and to cultivate it. And the same way, He gave us our bodies to take care of it and to bring it to its full potential. So we are meant to care for our bodies, refine it, and bring it back into harmony. So, when you lose weight to achieve a healthy body and a healthy looking appearance, when you style your hair or when you apply makeup, when you choose to wear clothes that you know that flatters you and it suits your body lines and your coloring, you are saying, I honor what God gave me. I steward it. I am helping God restore order to what the fall has disordered. So, losing weight, caring for your hair, and getting your makeup done, it's not just vanity, it is stewardship. And because of this, I must say that I strongly believe that nothing looks better on you than the beauty that God has originally designed for you. And we don't need to fight our features. We don't need to wear fake hair or reshape our faces into someone else's ideal. But what we must do is we must enhance what God created. We must polish it, refine it, and bring the garden back into order. And that is where true beauty rests, not in becoming someone else, but in restoring the beauty that God already created. And so there's one thing that I really need to say, and I also know that there's someone who really needs to hear this. Stop fighting your own beauty. Stop fighting your natural features. You are called to enhance what God created, not to change it to the point that it gets unrecognizable. So instead of trying to change what God created, learn more about yourself. Learn what is your skin type and how to take better care of it. Learn about your body type and what lines look better on you. Learn about your color type and your color season and what colors flatter your complexion and brings your features to life. When you do this, you're enhancing God's beauty in creation and not changing it. Now, does this mean that you can't change your hair color or your hair texture or use makeup? You absolutely can if you believe that that's enhancing what God created. And I must say that I even believe that there's a time and a place for plastic surgery because accidents happen and we live in a fallen world. And sometimes things can get so out of order that it needs some heavier interventions. But you shouldn't do it with a mindset of, my natural features are ugly, so I must change it. Because that would be thinking that you know better than God, who is the one who created you the way you are. Now, please, don't confuse this message with the whole body positivity and acceptance movement. Accepting your body means that you are at peace with the things that are naturally yours, the things that you can't really change, such as your body lines, your colorings, your ethnicity. But this doesn't mean that you should let yourself be overweight or even obese. God did not create us to be overweight. That is a result of sin. And I'm not saying that if you're overweight, you are a bad person or you're sinning. But what I'm saying is that God made us to be healthy and thriving individuals. And the best way for us to be like that is respecting the boundaries that He gave to our physical bodies. So being overweight is not a sin, but it might be a consequence of sinful acts. Maybe it wasn't even something that you did. Maybe it is a genetic condition, but that condition came from somewhere, and it did not come from God's original design and creation. And trust me, I am saying this out of so much love because I used to think exactly like that. I used to think things like, oh, maybe I'm just naturally chubby, or my bones are just large. But deep inside, I knew that I wasn't doing my best. I wasn't really stewarding what God gave me. And I was constantly falling into the sin of gluttony by overeating and eating things that I know I shouldn't really be eating. And even if you might be genetically predisposed to gaining weight, you should probably do something about it. And I believe that God expects us to do something about it because He doesn't just want us to live our lives as an spectator. He wants us to participate in His creation and bring things back into order. So take hope in that and know that you have the power to change. You have power and authority given to you by Jesus to bring things back into order, to get yourself in a better shape, and to beautify what sin has made ugly and dull. And I believe that this is especially if you're a woman, because I really believe that God created us women with a special role in creation. We just have a natural ability to beautify things and bring the best out of God's creation. So, if you agree with this message and you want to change, you want to start taking better care of your appearance and your body and your health, and you want to go deeper into identity and beauty and start your faith based transformation, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. I have more videos on a topic of weight loss with lots of tips on helping you to lose weight and achieve your wanted results and become the best version of yourself. And tell me in the comments what part in God's creation in your appearance you have struggled to accept. And remember, the world teaches us to fix ourselves, but God tells us to restore what He already called good. All right, I hope that this video blessed you and inspired you. I'll see you in the next one.